tonight in the parlour. Radio. As Elvis Costello once said, it's the sound salvation. Mind you, he did also say that it's in the hands of such a lot of fools trying to anaesthetise the way that we feel. Nevertheless, in Ireland, 86% of us listen to it on an average weekday. As a medium that provides us with unfettered, intimate communication unlike any other. So let's go inside, talk about that, and see twin-headed milk, okay? Do some of that. Sit down here. How are you, me flower? This is the parlour.
What's the parlour?
A place where dreams come true and all your troubles melt away. Or at least that is the intention. Coming up on tonight's show, we're going to have marvellous music from Twin-Headed Wolf, of course. As well as that, we have a debate on radio with Ian Wilson from RTE and Cathal Funge from TXFM. Also, all the way from the United States of America, we have the Handsome Family, Chicago duo, performing live in Whelans, as well as an interview with our inquisitive, incomparable barman, Ray Wingnut. But you just heard a beautiful song from Twin-Headed Wolf, The Old Road here. So let's have a chat, let's have a boola bus, and welcome them to the show. We got Julie, we got Bronwyn. Also, we had Zoe there on the other track. Do you usually collaborate with a number of other people, or is Twin-Headed Wolf generally just you two guys?
We have a whole troupe of wonderful people that we perform with sometimes. We have like a theatrical troupe, and we have lots of friends who are folk musicians. So yeah, we play with lots of people lots of the time. Yeah, delighted to play with Zoe. She's especially wonderful to work with. So thank you. It was really good. Yeah.
You guys have travelled around a fair bit. Tell us about some of your adventures. Where have you played?
We played lots of really fun places. We just came back from a month in New Orleans, which was probably the most inspiring month of our whole lives. So full of magic and wonderful people and amazing things going on. So
amazing music.
Yeah. Oh, so amazing. I can't. Amazing. It's not enough to say.
You guys have talked before about there needing to be a shift in culture, supporting musicians from the ground up in the way they would in foreign countries. What kind of shift would you like to see in culture here? Big question.
I mean, it's difficult because I think for such a small place, it's like Ireland is saturated with musicians. Like everybody's a musician. There's live music in every bar, and so it's kind of harder to nurture everybody. I think that's maybe a thing that other countries, I don't know, maybe there isn't that saturation. But I mean, I guess just support from the ground up for musicians starting out, and like just a basic wage for musicians and making sure people are treated fairly.
Yeah, and kind of like a shift in attitude maybe as well, in terms of like treating, like it's not like a hobby, that people actually do want to play music for their livelihood and stuff, and it's not just something extra, but it's like something people want to live on, you know.
Well, tell us about the song you're going to play for us tonight.
Which one?
The one that's going to happen right now.
Oh, okay. So this is this is called Shrines and Ceremonies, or Creepy Love Song. So yeah.
It's in the title.
Yeah.
Are you going to give it the intro?
No.
Okay.
Okay. No.
Do we want the intro?
Yes! Okay, don't be offended if you see this. Okay, if you've ever been left waiting in Turkey for 6 days by a two-time skirt wearing badger-eating dirtbag, this is a song for you.
Twin-Headed Wolf, creepy love song. We'll have another track from Twin-Headed Wolf later on the show. But wait, there's more. If you register on our fantastic website, www.theparlor.tv, you can see super extra additional free of cost bonus track from Twin-Headed Wolf. If you register now, you'll be entered into a draw to receive this commemorative club mix of Omiro Mumba's 2002 smash hit, Little Big Man. He, of course, the brother of Samantha Mumba, rocketed to number 36 in the charts in 2002. Only 3 copies were ever pressed of the club mix.
So he was 15, was he then?
He was 12 at the time.
Okay.
Yeah, 3 ever pressed, only 1 ever purchased. So in a draw for that. Anyway, now we're going to have an enlightening debate on radio with 2 men with a vast knowledge in the medium, specifically talking about music in radio. And we're going to be speaking to Ian Wilson from RTE Radio and Cathal Funge from TXFM. Guys, thanks very much for being on the show.
Thank you. Tom, thank you.
I would like to start by asking you about what first got you excited about the medium of radio.
Music. I came in through music, and I'd done a bit of pirate radio, and I was looking for a job, and it was the start of 2FM, so I thought, yeah, this is great. I'll move from college to somewhere, some other home for the unemployable. So I got a job in RTE in 1979 then. No, I had worked in pirate radio. I worked a lot in music before that, and then I worked in pirate radio, and when I was doing one of the pirate, I worked for In Dublin magazine, which was a credible magazine at that stage. It later became something completely different. And one of the things we did was run a radio show. We ran a radio show on what was the biggest pirate radio station in Dublin at the time, a station called Big D. And it had on the books people like, God, you go through it, Marty Whelan, Dave Fanning, Dave Heffernan, Jerry Ryan. It's like a who's who of radio. So I ended up doing a radio show with Jerry Ryan.
And what about for yourself, Cathal?
Well, I suppose like any Irish household, I was brought up where the radio was, the minute you got up, your mad had the radio on while you were eating your breakfast. Ian Dempsey was, there with us while we were having our breakfast, and then into the car heading to school, you'd have the radio on. So the radio was everywhere when I was growing up, and it would have been pre-internet days, pre-music everywhere days. So when we got home from school, your dad would take over the one television, so we'd be all down to our bedrooms. He turned the radio on, and Dave Fanning and Ian would take over, and that was a whole new world. You were listening to stuff that you would not hear anywhere else.
That's true, yeah.
And it just, it was incredible.
And for both of you, throughout your careers in radio, you've championed Irish music, be it through the Fanning sessions and 2FM, or on Phantom you had K9 sessions and Icon, a show all about Irish music. Popular debate, I know, but where does Irish music fit into Irish radio today?
Not great. I looked up the figures just to... I did some in-depth research on the mobile phone in three minutes before you came on. PPI, Phonograph Performance Ireland, publish airplay charts every year of the most played songs, top 50 songs in Irish radio. We have a pretty appalling track record. In 2013, there was only 5 Irish bands in the top 50 airplayed songs. Sorry, 5 Irish tracks, only 2 Irish bands, The Script and Codeline. Last year we had an exceptional, we jumped up to 9. 9 of the top 50 most played songs in Irish radio were by Irish artists. Now, they were admittedly Codeline, Hosier, just 6 of the 9, and then The Script, The Coronas, and The Riptide Movement. And just to give you an idea how that compares, if you went to Iceland, you'd find 40% of what's played in the radio is Icelandic music. If you went to Holland, you'd find that. If you went to Germany, you'd find similar portions. I'm not even dealing in France, where they have their own particular business with language and so on, but you go around most countries in Europe, and the more, shall we call it, advanced states, those that have an indigenous music business and are developed economies, we're down the bottom of the list by a long way in terms of our national artists getting airplay. So we're not doing a great job here.
Do you guys think that's justified? Is the music good enough to get on radio, or do you think?
Well, we get all this. Every time this comes up, I get this stuff about how we're awash with wonderful, talented musicians, and we're just a font of talent, and everybody in the Irish music business is a total fucking musical genius. And yeah, that doesn't follow through. So it's a lot of patronising geek being given out by the people in radio about it. Seriously, it's patronising nonsense. They say everything's wonderful here. Will we do anything to support it? Of course not. And they're wonderfully talented people. They'll all look after themselves. They won't look after themselves. And that's why many other countries have very successful music export businesses, and where the public broadcasters take it as part of their mission to promote local music. It's actually written into the charters of a lot of the European radio public broadcasters that they must support local music. Now, I can't find anywhere in RTE's charter of any sort that it's give any support of any kind to local music. There is references to traditional music, which is perfectly reasonable. It's a very, very important part of our culture. I mean, even it gets shite all coverage, really, when you dig down into it. The amount of traditional music that's given support on radio, outside R&G, say, where it's very specific, is actually quite small. So we talk a lot of shite about supporting Irish music and how wonderful it is. We don't actually do very much either on a governmental scale or through our media. So it's all a bit sad, but it's great. We're all happy.
As a public service broadcaster, I think there should be certainly a remit for showcasing new Irish music and having that as a huge part of their musical output. That they should be supporting music, and I've been doing kind of Irish music radio shows since around 2008, 2009, and I'm never short. Every week I'm never short of amazing music like Twin-Headed Wolf. What an incredible band, But will you hear them on daytime radio? Unfortunately, not a chance at the moment.
You mentioned Six Music is a very interesting point. Sorry, if you probably don't want to hear this, but I'm going to tell you anyway. They've done a lot of music research recently, which shows there's in the past you had teenagers and their parents absolutely fucking hated what the teenagers listened to. It was revolting in the extreme. It was the end of the world and all that. But that's changed now. And you have this strange synergy in the case of Six Music, and they've done a lot of research on this. We have people in their 40s and 50s who actually overlap their music taste with their younger audience in their late teens, early 20s. So that's kind of changed. Six Music is a strange animal because it has these people in their 40s and 50s, or old rockers, sort of people I would have been playing radio to, and the very younger ones. And that's the first time that's happened. So there are strange synergies across.
BBC Six Music is in a unique position in that it's a public broadcaster, and it's maybe more likely to to take those risks.
Yeah.
Like BBC Six Music couldn't survive in the commercial world, I don't think,
it wouldn't,
because
no.
they would have such a huge team working on each show, and they obviously have Maida Vale studios, and they have huge resources.
Yeah.
So to try and come up with a commercial plan to put that in,
And
terms of
they
their
take
output, though.
music really seriously.
do, yeah.
Sure.
The BBC take music seriously.
like their whole introducing
It's really
things.
important, yeah. RTE don't fucking even know there's music going on, you know. But did you see the Electric Picnic coverage? Holy fucking Christ. I mean, Jesus. I mean, some of it was truly appalling. But anyway, it was a revelation. It was a new dawn for television broadcasting in Ireland, etc. Yeah.
It's not for me to say. I have no opinion on this.
Good man. Nor do I. I'm not allowed to have opinions, yeah.
Lads, great having you on the show.
Great.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much.
Now we're going to have a look at a husband and wife duo originally from Chicago, Illinois, residing in Albuquerque, New Mexico. On occasion, they do tour around the world playing self-penned bluegrass, folk and murder ballads. And on their most recent visit to Dublin, they met our inquisitive barman, Ray Wingnut. Here is the handsome family.
How's it going? I'm Ray Wingnut, and I'm delighted to be joined by the handsome family.
Hello.
Very nice to be here with you.
Brett and Rennie. Welcome back to Ireland.
Thank you.
Good to be back.
Great to see you. So listen, what's going on with the handsome family at the moment?
We're about to play a show at Whelans in Dublin, and it's sold out. Yippee-yay for us. Hoorah.
Good stuff. I want to talk about like something, something of, let's say, your native home, let's say back in America and stuff like that. And I think, when I was just reading about you and stuff like that, it was, you're a band that it seems a lot of genres seem to follow you around. People are always putting a tag on, like, Americana or alt country and stuff like that. But two of, I think, my favorite phrases, I think, if genres can be brought down to phrases like Southern Gothic and murder ballads are just two beautiful phrases, I think anyway. Can you explain to us what Southern Gothic is? And what's
I don't really know.
It's another thing we get saddled with.
It's another genre that we get saddled as Southern Gothic. And to me, I would prefer to be called Western Gothic, because we're from the West, and neither one of us, I'm from the West. I grew up in New Mexico and Texas. I'm a Texan. I'm not a Southerner. I didn't grow up in fucking Arkansas or Alabama or Louisiana or anything. He's a Jew from New York,
Yeah.
So we're not Southerners. But we take a lot of our inspiration from music that rose up. Well, shit. I mean, let's face it. All the music in America that's worth a fuck came from the South. It all came from the South.
Not Yiddish theater.
Yeah, jazz, New Orleans. You're not Yiddish theater. You're right.
My melodies come from the shtetl.
All right, but I mean, jazz, soul, R&B, rock and roll. It's all from the South.
Yeah.
So country. It's all folk. It's all from the South.
Yeah.
And so that's where we draw a lot of our stuff from. And I guess the Gothic aspect would just be the fact that we're really creepy. Sorry, I got off
We are
topic.
officially off topic.
What was the question?
No, I like the rambling vibe. I think that's cool. But of course, like this is another thing that I don't know if you consider yourself saddled with this, but something that you're known for is for being really, really funny and stuff like this. You know what I mean?
How
I mean,
dare
you're,
you.
like your live shows and stuff, and like your natural intonation, even already. Like, I mean, even in an interview case, you completely take the piss out of yourselves and stuff like that.
Yeah. The strange thing is, last night we were in Limerick, and I just wasn't. I don't know. I just wasn't in the mood. And it had nothing to do with Limerick, and it had nothing, it had nothing to do with anything. But it's just some nights I just don't feel like even saying a word on stage. I mean, I know that's hard to believe right now, but
True.
Sometimes I would actually rather think about singing and playing than being a comedian.
Yeah, of course.
But normally, I think that the trappings of rock and roll stage craft are absurd and just ridiculous. I mean, people take themselves seriously. It's like, this is fucking children's music. And people, people think they're like.
Well,
people take themselves too
To be
seriously.
fair, Brett, you would not look good in spandex pants. So you really only have one option on stage, is to be down to earth.
I think it's important to be comfortable on stage.
So you're
And
saying
I
that's
like
why
the-
you don't wear the spandex pants?
I like the audience to feel like they're at home with us in our living room, hanging out. And if I had to do all that other stuff, I'd probably hang myself.
Yeah, but you see, this is the thing. I mean, like it's like dark content or whatever our people want to call it or anything like that. It's like that breeds honesty, and then when you're really honest. I mean, the best way to deal with something that, let's say, is dark or heavy or anything like that is to take the piss out of it, is to have a joke, like, you know what I mean? So I
Sure.
think the two are kind of, they're certainly not mutually exclusive, like. You know?
I think you're right. And I think her lyric, I mean, she writes all the lyrics. And, I mean, people always talk about how dark the music is, but it's like, it's all jokes. It's funny. It's full of one-liners. It's hilarious. I mean, it's full of puns and wordplay and jokes and stuff. But it's weird that like a song like "Drunk by Noon," it's like even the title is a joke.
Yeah. Yeah.
But people, oh my God, it's so heavy. They're alcoholics or whatever. But that's not it. It's just kind of. Life is like that. Great art is like that. It's like it's funny and it's sad at the same time.
Yeah, and I mean, let's face it. Without being cheesy, you do have a connection with this country, and there was a special release that only came out here and stuff like that. How would you describe your connection with Ireland?
The music that first inspired us to play music, which was Appalachian folk music.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what it's all about, really. We've taken other roads, but that's the core of our thing, so.
Excellent, so you're bringing it home.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's kind of cool to be able to have a full circle thing like that. In a different way. I mean, obviously we're not playing trad or,
When we get back to
we're
Minsk,
not
then
doing
I'll be full circle.
We're not doing the diddly eye or anything, but I mean, maybe something actually a little closer to the essence. Oh God, I shouldn't say that.
There you go, you're
we're
taking
going to
yourself seriously now.
today. Yeah.
Well, listen, you're more than welcome back, and I really appreciate you taking the time to talk to
Sure.
us. Handsome
Thank you.
family.
Thank you.
As meteors died and shot across the sky, I thought about you sad, shining eyes. I came back for my clothes when the sun finally rose, but you were still passed out on the floor. Listen to me, butterfly. There's only some other you can do in one love that will never be enough. To sing the bottom of the glass.
There you go, handsome family. Ray, a tough interview by all accounts.
Nah, it wasn't that tough, man. They were very cranky when they got in. They were just off the bus and they were just on tour. And I sat down with them and I was like, hey, handsome family, how's it going? They were like, that all you got? Next question. And I was like, all right. And I turned to herself and I said, well, how are you? And she was like, let's just save it for the recording. And I was like, okay. So we just kind of sat there. We sat there and, we just kind of twiddled our thumbs while the lads got the lighting ready and the sound was rolling and stuff like that. And then I was like, okay, so we're all pissed off. Just why are we all so pissed off? And then they just started talking about why they were pissed off, and it was very interesting and insightful.
And much like our radio debate earlier, Ray, you've also, as well as being, of course, a barman, you've done a bit of work in radio, it's fair to say.
Yeah.
And you were telling me earlier about the most important lesson you learned in radio.
The most important advice I ever got in radio was from my boss lady, who's still my boss lady now. Her name is Nessa McGann, and she's a great lady. And she told me that ideas are your currency. And she told me this really early on when I was just out of college. And it was something that kind of struck with me because I'd always been of the kind of punk rock kind of style where like ideas are always moving and motivated and they're my own and they're mine and I can do this. But the idea of a creative industry where ideas are yours, are what you have to trade with, basically, I thought was very interesting. And I just realized that creating radio is like any creative industry. It's a creative process, you know what I mean? You're not just some dipshit with a great music taste. No, you have to bring something to the party and bring something. You got to bring the storytelling. You got to bring the flair. You got to bring the personality, and you got to bring yourself to the party. And yeah, that's what makes great broadcasters. You know what I mean? And big up the lads. That was an incredible interview. I thought really called it out, and very inspiring, very energizing thing to listen to. People real talking.
Tremendous, wholeheartedly wonderful. Now, I'm going to see Twin-Headed Wolf playing a song called Gold Teeth.
I wait to say your name 5 times a day. This love runs deeply. This love runs deeply. Roll, roll, silken melody, spun so gently, spun so gently.